Is there any hope of a breakthrough at these talks?
Well, that really is, I think, the $1 million question today. Since the start of this process, the Russian side has advanced these proposals that I think not just the West, but actually sort of many experts in Russia regard as sort of non-starters. These kind of very thoroughgoing limitations on NATO activity in Eastern Europe, sort of rolling the alliance back almost to its borders of the late 90s, which would be a striking sort of turn of events. Many at the time when these sort of draft treaties were published by the Russian side about 2 weeks ago, many thought that it was a sort of opening gambit and that the Russians were coming in with a sort of an ideal scenario that would be expected to be bartered down. It's hard to understand whether that is true or not, but certainly I think it's certainly the case that the very, very bleak, very stark, very demanding rhetoric from Moscow has continued up to the present day. Just today we saw Sergei Ryabkov, the Russian deputy foreign minister, who's one of the main sort of engines in these negotiations, saying that no concessions were possible, that they'd been ruled out. So certainly the Russian side is striking a very sort of commanding position. On the other hand, it is, I think, certainly the case that the Russians do want an agreement. It's been them that have been pressing for sort of more engagement and more talks with Moscow. And there is, I think, a certain hope invested in Joe Biden as a sort of an experienced elder statesman, as Moscow sees him, who might be able to deliver some kind of deal. So it seems very unclear what we can expect from today and from these negotiations, and we will be following them, I'm sure, very, very closely.
Yeah, and in the event of a Ukrainian invasion, U.S. officials could add Russia to a list of countries that already includes Cuba, Iran, North Korea, and Syria. What sort of economic sanctions has the Biden administration been preparing?
Well, so the Biden administration has sort of mooted a range of, including sort of personal sanctions on the Putin inner circle. We'd be expecting to see sort of Russian businessmen and oligarchs, I suspect, coming under the specter of sanctions, but also things like cancelling the Nord Stream 2 project. We saw that the German side, the new German government, is very likely sort of on board with that in the event of a Ukrainian invasion. And we'll likely see sort of more NATO troops deployed to the eastern flank countries of the alliance, which is very much what Moscow is trying to struggle against. So I think there's an attempt by the Biden administration to communicate that any attack on Ukraine is going to be counterproductive for Russian interests. Now, we will see if these are sort of are potent in sort of turning Moscow's or changing Moscow's mind, as it were. Certainly, I think sanctions weigh very heavily on the Russian sort of official consciousness. Russia has seen basically zero GDP growth in the last 10 years, and that's largely because of sanctions imposed after the Crimean annexation in 2014. So I think certainly sanctions are very important for Russia. We'll just have to see how much the threat of new sanctions really sort of has in terms of leverage and changing the Russian mind.
All right, Felix, thank you very much. Felix Light reporting from Moscow.